Live video. We are live. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
I'm going to refresh this right now. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Brick Cave. Which? Oh, that's because neither one. So here we are in the Brick Cave. I just want to make sure that I'm actually live right now, and that we're not just talking to nobody. So there we go.
Hey, here we are. All right, there we go.
Now, let me turn off the sound on that. Here we go. There we go. All right. Welcome, fine fans of Brick Cave. So I am here with author Bruce Davis. We are going to launch the Brick Cave Patreon here as soon as we get done yakking. But before we do, there's a couple of things that I kind of want to talk about because there's a lot going on with us. So Bruce Davis is an award nominee.
Yes, indeed.
And tell us about that.
The Arizona, New Mexico Publishers Association, essentially, has made my latest novel, Platinum Magic.
It's in the pile right there.
I'll pull Platinum Magic out. Here we go, Platinum Magic right here. A finalist as the best science fiction or fantasy novel of the year.
Hey,
which I'm
congratulations right there.
Actually very proud about.
Very good.
I knew it was a pretty good book. Bob liked it. Bob's actually largely responsible for it getting written. That's another story. But I'm actually quite pleased with it. So much so that I've done a sequel, Gold Magic, that is in edits now.
Oh, you're going to get some feedback on it.
And I'm hoping that works out quite well. I've had a lot of fun with this. It's my first foray into fantasy. I'm basically a hard science fiction guy. And I kind of think of this as alternate physics, but that's a whole different story. It is a novel that is essentially taking all of the races of high fantasy and then placing them in a thoroughly modern world, just like our world today. And it's a police procedural. So think Lord of the Rings meets Law and Order. And you've got kind of an idea of what the book is. So I'm actually quite pleased, yes.
Well, congratulations to you.
Thank you very much.
It's been a really kind of a whirlwind year for that book. That's been one of the most popular books that we've put out there.
And I've had a lot of fun pushing this book at the various cons that we've gone to. It's been
so, in case you're wondering, what we've got going on here is I've got a lot of just different technical things. So I've got controls for a TV that's over on the other side of the room. I've got controls for a computer that's over on that side of the room, so that when we actually launch this Patreon, we're going to be able to see if people are responding to it. So that is what's happening right here. But before we do that, because I'm going to kind of leave people along a little bit, we've got some prizes. So when we launch this Patreon tonight, we're going to actually give some prizes tonight for the people that kind of jump in.
Everyone loves prizes.
Right. And so earlier this week, we had a visit from one of our other authors, Sharon Skinner, and she signed for us a group of her posters. So these are her posters for her various books. Notice they are all signed. And she gave us 5 sets of these signed, which means you're going to have to probably do 6 to just kind of stay.
Just say it when ahead.
But the first 5 people, or 10, I guess, because we're going to have another set of 5. So the first 10 people that join the Patreon will each get a set of either Sharon's posters or Bruce's posters. And if you want to hold yours up, I kind of brought them where you.
Actually, these are quite nice. I'm quite impressed with this art. You'll recognize some of the same artwork, very similar to work on Sharon's. And I really kind of like this. Artwork for my more hard science fiction, and we haven't really talked about Glow Gems or my other fiction, is done by a different author. A different artist. But again, I'm very, very pleased with the way these turned out. I think they make very nice posters.
They do.
Bob has done a bang-up job in formatting these. And yes, you'll love them even more if they're signed, yes.
So what we're going to do is, as we kick off the Patreon, which we are going to actually do that in a couple of minutes here. So and when we kick it off, Bruce and I are going to have a few other things that we're going to talk about to give everybody a chance to kind of get in there and start to make their patronage, if you will, while we're talking about a few other things that are happening. So I'm going to hit the button. And the button's way over there. So there's a launch button. If you go to patreon.com/brickcavemedia, you will find that it is now live. It is now live. Patreon is now live, and I just got a congratulations and some weird little confetti things happening over there. So you can now hit the Patreon up. The Patreon is now live. So there's a link to it in the event. You can actually get there. Patreon.com, BrickCaveMedia/BrickCaveMedia. Easy to find. And hopefully I'll get an update as someone contributes to it here tonight while we're talking. So anyway, back to this stuff. So we've got a follow-up that we're working on with that, which patrons will be able to get as part of their rewards.
Absolutely. We've not really discussed what they can get, but I would like to see them being able to read sample chapters.
Oh no, they're getting whole books.
Get a flavor for what's going on. Whole books is even better.
They're getting whole, like the whole,
I'm hoping as we go forward with a lot of these different offers on the Patreon, as this thing moves on, that we can start doing some more fun stuff with works in progress, short stories, with other stuff that people can sign up for and get access to.
Oh yeah,
and kind of get a feel for what we do, what I do, what Sharon does, what the other authors on Brick Cave do.
Yep.
And because having read pretty much everybody who's published with this outfit, I'm really kind of astounded that we have this much talent.
We do have a lot of talent. It's kind of
in this kind of very small venue. And it's been a lot of fun to read these things.
I feel blessed that we have really some fantastic writers. Some of whom are behind us here, and some of whom, like Scott Woods, who his new book is actually coming out on the 6th. We're doing a paperback version of his Prince essays, which is a really, really fun read. Just his views on Prince and everything, like who was better, Prince or Michael Jackson.
Oh.
And it's very, very much in the weeds analytical, so it's really a lot of fun. And then, of course, he talks about his first experiences learning about Prince and all of that fun, and it's really an enjoyable thing. So we've got a lot for you to join this Patreon and get. So Bruce is one example. So he's got a new book coming out. Sharon is just crazy. So she's got actually 2 manuscripts right now that are ready to go. So she's got the 3rd Healers book, which so many people have asked us about this year. All the events we were at.
Every event we go to, people are coming up and say, when is the 3rd book? I need the 3rd book. I bought the first 2. Where's the 3rd one?
So the Patreon is going to get you that 3rd book. So just make sure you pick the right level to get a free book or more than one, and you're in. Louise Robertson, we have a poetry book out by her right now. Her first fiction book is going to come out next year.
I've not read Louise.
She's going to be a lot of fun. You're going to like her a lot. She's very very cerebral, which is really fun. And the name of it's a super duper long name. And I can't remember it because I'm in the middle of a broadcast. So I'll post it. I will post it. If you join the Patreon tonight, if I get 5 people to join the Patreon tonight, I will post the name of Louise's book in the event. So there's
incentive right there.
There's incentive.
Yes.
So let's see. I can't tell if anybody's actually done anything yet with us. Oh, we've got 2. We have 2.
Thank you for whoever has signed
Our
up.
first 2 patrons. Thank you, patrons. I don't know who you are yet, but thank you for joining. So we have our first 2. We also have, and this is not a Patreon thing. This is actually something you can just go to sign up for this year. We have this wonderful box, this crate of stuff. And I noticed, do you see a Platinum Magic in there?
I don't see a Platinum Magic. I see a Glow Gems in there, though.
Well, I think we should put a Platinum Magic.
We'll put a Platinum Magic in there.
Tuck a Platinum Magic.
Tuck a Platinum in here.
So this actual crate of goodies, this crate of wonderful things, you can actually sign up to win this crate, everything in it. So the dragon, the lovely little carry bag, the 2 t-shirts, the books that we've just added another book to, that Jackie's going to be like, where'd that book come from? The posters, and the great carry bag. So I'm going to flip this around so you can see this carry bag because it's pretty cool. It's a messenger bag, right? So you have a good computer bag. And the crate itself, you get this lovely aged looking crate. all you have to do is go to brickcavestore.com. It's in there listed as an item. It has a 0 cost value, so you basically just pretend to buy it and you fill out all the information. You're basically joining our email list is what's happening with that. And you're getting an entry in to win this bag.
Gee, I'll enter that.
Well, get in there, buddy. You
I have
can
to get
win
in there and get it.
So that is running until December. And you can also enter at any of our tour stops. And we're going to talk about that tour right now.
Okay.
So you are on a tour.
I am.
And the next one is the 3rd?
3rd of the month. Actually, it's this weekend, isn't it?
No. This weekend is, I have a Mesa Veterans Program motorcycle ride that I'm working, so I can't.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought it was this weekend at Half Price Books.
Nope, next weekend.
Next weekend, Half Price Books. Excellent.
I'll just manage you. It's okay.
You just tell me where to be, and I'll be there.
So this tour is going to run till the end of the year. You're going to have stops pretty much every week.
Yeah, I've got a little commitment in the middle of November, but I'll be back in the end of November and into December.
So we've got Half Price Books in 2 weeks, or a week and a half, week and a day. And then the 10th is Tucson. Are you in Tucson?
I'm not in Tucson.
I'm the only one going to
You're
Tucson.
the only one going to Tucson. I'm going to be in Africa.
Sure, that's right. You are going. That's why. That's your commitment.
That's my thing. Yes.
So then the 17th. Hang on, I could cheat because I got the map like right back there, and I could just cheat.
No, I can pull it up.
Oh yeah,
on the phone. I've got the schedule right here.
Right
see, I'm prepared.
Very good. Let's see if anybody else has joined us yet. We're still at 2. Come on now.
You know you want
one. We need 8 more. We need 8 more to get the name of
All right,
book
so
posted.
the 3rd, we've got our book thing at Half Price Books. And then the next one that I'm signed up for is actually the 1st of December.
Okay, and that is,
I believe that's
Tucson?
Yeah, Tucson or Arrowhead, one of the two.
Okay.
I didn't put in, unfortunately, so November. And then we have December. Oh, yes, we need to remember that we have the Mesa Book Festival.
Yes, December 8th, which is what I have here. So
then there's something on the 15th. Flagstaff.
Yes, Flagstaff on the December. These are Barnes & Nobles, by the way, and you can check them out on the
And then the 22nd is our time at Poison Pen.
Which is going to be a lot of fun.
That's going to be. I'm looking forward to that a great deal.
I'll tell you the story behind that when we get through this. So, real quick, Mesa Book Festival happening December 8th, and I'll take this out so there's no glare. But it's happening December 8th right in downtown Mesa. It is being run by Brick Cave's sister nonprofit Anthology. We're going to have a nice big booth there. We started this last year. It was a really fun event last year. And we would love to see you come out and join us. Grab some signed books. There's over 100 different authors right now that are scheduled to be there.
It's not just Brick Cave.
It's going to be tons of
a lot of local authors. And again, I want to talk about that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I have had contact both through Brick Cave and Bob, but also through a lot of these events like the Mesa Book Festival,
Tempe Book Festival,
the Tempe Book Festival, the Tucson Book Festivals. There is a tremendous amount of talent locally, and people who you know well, authors that are well known who actually live in the Phoenix area, but a lot of independent authors and a lot of authors that are with either smaller presses or who are doing their own thing. And these are incredibly talented people. There's great stuff to be read just locally here. And I'm continually astounded at the people I'm meeting who are really, really good writers.
Yeah, there is a lot of talent in this town. And you can see a majority of them happening on the 8th of December, downtown Mesa. We've actually closing the street for an evening event. It's a fantastic event, a lot of fun. The Christmas tree, if you know Mesa at all, they have a big giant Christmas tree.
There's going to be lots of stuff going on in downtown Mesa that whole time.
It's really
and this is just an extra thing to do.
So, again, the Patreon is now live. We have 2 patrons right now. We'd love to get to 10 patrons before Bruce and I are done. And we only have a few things left. So, if you're looking to do our Patreon, please jump over there. Patreon.com/BrickCaveMedia is the web address. Would love to have you join our Patreon.
Why don't you tell them a little more about the various levels and about what
talk
Patreon
about
actually means here? Because I don't think a lot of people really understand what they're signing up for.
So the idea behind, I'll get to those books in a minute, but the idea behind the Patreon is, Patreon is a service much like Kickstarter or Indiegogo in that it's a crowdfunding sort of platform. The difference between Patreon and a lot of other platforms is it's more of a subscription-based platform. Brickcade Media, we've been doing this now since 2009, and we put out an average of 4 to 6 books a year. We'd like to boost that to 6 to 10 books a year. And to do that, we've got to have the money to pay an artist to do a cover. We've got to have the money to pay an editor to go through and edit the manuscript. We've got to be able to make sure that when Bruce sells books, he's getting his commission checks on time as he earns them so that we can get out there and market the books without any sort of issues. Patreon kind of lets us do that because it kind of cuts out a lot of the middleman. I don't know how much a lot of people know about book distribution, but with each sort of stop a book makes between the author and the final destination of the reader, people are taking cuts out of the money that the book makes, and so by the time that comes back to the author, there's really not a lot of money there for the author, and even probably less so for a publisher, which is why you're seeing that industry change so dynamically over the last few years. The Patreon allows us basically to build relationships directly with you as the readers. We're kind of billing it as a book club because it really is a book club. So as you go through the page, you're going to see that each of the levels, and we've named the levels after dragons. So Yellow Dragon is the first level, and that's $1 a month. And what that does is that just kind of gets you a lot of access to what we do. So it gives you access to the Patreon blog. It gives you discounts in our Brick Cave store. It gives you our commemorative bookmarks that we do every year, that kind of stuff. So it gives you the ability to stay in touch with us and to get the books that you really want to read. As you move up to the next level, you start to get access to free books. So, for example, the Red Dragon level gives you, every year you get the ability to pick, I think it's 3, I can't see it from here, but it's a certain number of books every year. Oh, it's 1. The Red's 1, and then it goes up from there. So each level, and you can read each level for yourself. That's all I'm going to tell you, because I can read them all to you, but it's going to take us forever. Anyway, so each level gives you a different level of access to Brick Cave content. So we want you to support the level of content that you want to get. So if you want to get more books, then you want to look at probably a middle tier. I think that my favorite tier is probably the orange tier. That's the $10 a month level. That gives you access to basically 6 books a year. So you're going to get access to all of the books that we would publish. Like for this year, you would have been able to get all of the books that we published this year. Now, obviously, we're looking to grow, so that's going to change over time. But that's a good level for most people to really kind of be a part of what we do. You can actually take on more of a supporter role. You can actually become an investor almost with Brick Cave as you go up into some of the higher tiers, because now you're not only funding the books that you want to read, you're also empowering us to take these books and get audiobooks made. You're empowering us to take these books and create film projects around them and start to do some really fun stuff that we've always had with Brick Cave. If you followed Brick Cave for any length of time, you know that we have dabbled in film. You know that we have dabbled in audio. And really, this Patreon is going to give us the opportunity to really jump out and attack those other mediums and get these stories out there in other ways that we wouldn't normally be able to do. So happy to answer any questions if you guys have any questions in the comments for this. Oh, look at this. Look at that. There's actually comments, questions. Do people write? Oh, come on, Jocelyn. Come on now. We're not trapped in Phoenix. We love Phoenix. Do you love Phoenix?
I like Phoenix.
See, he was
love
a little
going to
hesitant.
other places.
Notice he was hesitant in that.
Now, I think that there is a huge opportunity for book market in Phoenix. I've been also impressed with some of the other places that we've gone, though, with the reception that we've gotten, both in Tucson and Los Angeles.
I would agree with that.
For Brick Cave and for Brick Cave books. We've gotten some very, very nice reviews. Some wonderful people have gotten in touch with me individually to tell me about either my books, other books that they've read, crossovers with things that they've seen and done. So yeah, I think Phoenix is great, but we're not trapped here. We can go anywhere.
So
As a matter of fact, we actually have authors who are not in Phoenix.
Yes, we have 2 authors that are in Columbus, Ohio, actually.
Yes.
Love them both. We actually already mentioned them. Scott Woods and Louise Robertson both live in Ohio. They're sort of our Team Ohio is what we call them. So, but that being said, we would love for you to jump right in, get over to patreon.com/BrickCaveMedia. We have 2 patrons right now. We'd like to get to 10 because if we can get to 10, we're going to give out all these posters. Again, if we get to 10, not only will you'll get you kind of get one of the 2 groups. So you get a group of Sharon posters, all noticeably signed. I don't know if you can see it on that one, but there you go, signed by Sharon. Right there.
I will be signing.
3D. And or you'll get a set of Bruce's posters, which I think he should be signing while we're talking.
I probably should. I should be
Why don't you
working.
grab
Right?
those? Yeah, get to work, author. So Bruce is going to sign his posters right now for you while we are. What else do I have to talk about? So, if we can squeak our way over 10 tonight, I got Sharon to sign a set of her books. So a whole set. So this is basically her Brick Cave. This is her Brick Cave library, if you will. Look at, you have proof that Bruce is actually signing.
I'm actually
these
signing these books.
Now
these
don't let them
posters.
smear. Be careful.
These are real deal things here.
It's crazy. It's crazy what you're doing right now. Anyway, so if we can squeak ourselves up to, I don't know, so what, 12 patrons? 15
12
patrons?
would be great.
15? Should we go 15? Be aggressive with it?
Yell aggressive all you want.
Before the night is over, so before midnight tonight, if we can get to 15 patrons, then one of those 15 patrons will get this set of books.
Very cool.
So everybody, and you know what, everybody that signs up tonight before midnight will get a set of posters. It's just a matter of whether you get Bruce posters or Sharon posters. But one lucky patron that starts out tonight. Now this is in addition to any of the patron benefits. So this is everything that's on the patreon.com/BrickCaveMedia site. That's all guaranteed to you as part of your patron level, whatever you choose. But one lucky person, regardless of the level that they choose, is going to win this entire set of Sharon Skinner books. And it has everything from her first book, which is In Case You Didn't Hear Me the First Time, which is her book of poetry, all the way through to the book that we released this year, Supernal Dawn, that she co-wrote with J.A. Junta. All right. What else you want to talk about?
Well, I kind of want to talk about the fact that
I'm going to open my Coke.
I really would love to see people joining this, because this is really an opportunity for you to support and provide opportunities for local authors. And I talked before about how there's a lot of talent in this area. This is an exercise that I'd like everybody to do. Go to your local bookstore. Go to Barnes & Noble. Go to, an independent bookstore if there's one near you. And go to any section in the fiction area, whether it's science fiction and fantasy or thrillers or whatever, and count the number of authors' names. Not the number of books that are there, just the number of names. I guarantee you there are more active players in Major League Baseball than there are authors' names in that entire bookstore.
Really?
So think about that.
All right.
Think about how many authors are actually getting the opportunity to be published by the big name publishers. And we all know that they're not looking for necessarily a good author. They're looking for an author who's going to sell a whole bunch of books. And I'm sure everybody can look at a book that you've read in the past year or two and say, yeah, that was okay. It's out by a big publisher, but it wasn't a great book. There are great authors who don't get that opportunity, either because they don't have the name, or they just happen to write a book that doesn't fit neatly into one of the publishing genres that the big 6 or 5, I guess it is now, really want to use.
I think
or you get down to the fact that, yes, we loved your book, but we don't know how to market it. We don't know where to put it in the bookstore. That's what Brick Cave does. Brick Cave picks up these authors who are very, very good writers, who write books that are a little off-kilter sometimes, that don't fit into these neat categories. And this is your opportunity to both support those authors and read those books, and not be trapped by what the big publishers want you to read. So I'm encouraging everybody to sign up. I mean, I kind of feel like public television.
It is public
host,
television.
You know,
Well, it is.
Yeah,
That's what
we're on
doing.
public TV, pleading for money. If you really want to support, though, local authors, people who are working and living in your community, people you can reach out and touch, people you can sit down and have a beer with and talk about books, sign up for this thing.
So Jocelyn asks us what book. She asked me what book am I excited to see launch next year. I'm not gonna lie. So I have actually read 2 so far of the manuscripts that we're gonna see launch. I have read Gold Magic because I've been working on the edits for it and those things. And I'm very excited to see people read Gold Magic. I am really.
Well, thank you.
I am giddy.
I kind of really went into some stuff on that.
I am giddy. So we've got a little bit of work yet to do on it. So you'll probably see it. You'll see it, but probably not at the very beginning of the year, but you will see it. But I'm giddy for people. It's a really, 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 really. I love where this book went, and it's going to be a really good read for people to be a part of. You know. I just got done literally last night at midnight working on that Prince book that we were talking about. I just love that book. I love Scott's conversational style to his writing. I love the way he analyzes things. He's just brilliant. And I think whether you're a Prince fan or you're not a Prince fan, you just want to be you just want to read that style. It just keeps you engaged.
I'm kind of looking forward to that. As an aside, my youngest son has been doing a course at the community college recently on the history of rock and roll.
Oh,
it's
very
actually
cool.
the social history of rock and roll.
Okay.
And as part of his course, he's had to go back and analyze the various roots of different artists and where they came from.
Sure.
And Prince has been one of those. So that it'd be really interesting to see how that plays into the things that he's been working
really
on
good.
and reading about.
It's just the social commentary is spot on. It is just amazing to watch and be a part of. So I'm excited for that book. I'm honestly, I am spoiled because I get to kind of live through the process of Sharon making her books. And so, you know, I get to kind of be a part of that creative process and that happening. And that is just, it's fun, you know. And so that third Healers book, it's gonna be worth the time that you're waiting for it. It's gonna be a really, really good book. Okay, next question. Does Brick Cave work with any type of authors or only fantasy and fiction writers? So we do. We primarily work with 3 genres. We work science fiction, fantasy, and poetry because that's basically my history. So my history is in, you know, it started in science fiction and fantasy because that's what I grew up reading. It got into poetry when I started doing Poetry Slam, and I started doing a lot of poetry events, and you know, was involved in that for a long time. And when Brick Cave started, we actually didn't publish books. We actually recorded audio albums. So we did spoken word albums. So we really have a very deep set of roots in the poetry community. I'm not going to say we won't because we did just, you know, we're going to print a book of essays about Prince. So, you know, I'm not going to say we won't publish things outside of those genres. I would say it's really got to be something that touches us, that really touches us and really kind of, you know, motivates us and gets us excited. So, when we met Bruce and we got his manuscript and, you know, we passed it around and we were all like, hey, this is really good. This is pretty cool. We got to do this. That's the kind of thing we want to see. And then to meet Bruce and have somebody who's like, hey, let me roll up my sleeves and get to work because I know what this means. So That's what we want. We want those authors that are they're ready to get in.
Can
there
I tell them how that whole business got started?
All yours.
I've known Bob and Sharon for a number of years through the con scene, although not really more as friends than as publishers.
Yeah.
And a few years ago, I was here at the Cirque du Livre event, which is a writers' event that had been in Mesa. And one of the panels was, read us your first page.
Right.
And so I said, well, what the heck? I had this thing that I had worked on more as a writing exercise for myself, because I'm really a hard science fiction guy, but I said, well, let's try this fantasy foray. And so as part of the panel, I read this to try to get the ball rolling.
Right.
Bob turns to me and says, I want that. And I say, Bob, it's not written yet. I don't care. You've got till August. Write it.
Yeah, I did kind of.
And so, that's how it all came about.
Yeah. I did kind of put smack down. I do have a tendency to do that to people. So a couple more questions. Does Brick Cave... will we get to meet them on the Patreon? Yes. So
Absolutely.
There are Patreon levels that are dedicated to Google Hangouts. So if you're not local and you want to get to know these guys, we will have Google Hangouts where you can actually meet with them and talk to them and ask questions of them. We also are going to plan some very exclusive events for our patrons, where our patrons will be the only people invited to meet with our authors, book launch events and that kind of thing. So absolutely, we want to make sure that if you're committing to us to give us the support that we need to make these great books, all of us, I'm pretty sure universally, would agree that we're ready to get in there and work with you and meet you and thank you for the support that you're giving. There was another question that was, for Pete's sakes, for some reason the comments do not seem to update for me here. I don't know why that is, but okay. So what do we got here? How does? Oh no, we have to talk. We'll bring new genre. Oh, she wants to bring a new. Somebody's just saying, oh, they want to bring a new genre. Okay, well, I am open to checking in on anything. I'm open to reading anything. I am open to looking at anything. We just finished our submission process for this year. I know we got maybe 8 or 10 different manuscripts. Jackie, our intern handling the manuscripts, has said there's a couple of those that she wants us to kind of look at. So there'll be some that percolate to me. There'll be some. One of the things about Brick Cave is we're kind of a family operation. So, once you're in, you're a part of the family. So the family kind of comes together and looks at authors and says, hey, does this person fit with us? And we like the quirky. We like the people that are doing their thing and get what we're all about, and they get what each other is about. So, we're looking for people that are willing to do that.
I would just comment, if I can, that we're talking about fantasy and science fiction, but those categories are so broad.
Yeah.
You would classify Sharon's Healer's Legacy as fantasy.
True.
But that's an oversimplification of what those books are.
Mm-hmm.
You could call them coming-of-age stories. You could call them stories about strong women finding their way in the world.
Right, right.
The fact that they're in a fantasy setting isn't really what's important to the book.
Yeah.
I would make the case for my own books. The Prophet series, Thieves' Prophet, Glow Gems for Profit, are very much hard science fiction. I mean, they're out there in the same realm as TV shows like Firefly or some Heinlein stuff. Those are my inspirations. But they're really about very flawed people doing the best they can to get by.
In usually extreme circumstances.
Yes. And so, people have commented that, well, gee, this reads more like a Raymond Chandler novel than a science fiction novel. Mm-hmm. So if you're thinking Star Wars, no, that's not what we're into. If you're thinking broad views on the genre, whatever that might be, with a little twist to it, then you'd be right at home here.
Yeah, pretty much. So another question, when can we have another Brick Cave Poetry Slam? Well, not at Brick Cave. So, I won't say I will never do another Poetry Slam because I love Poetry Slam. I've always loved Poetry Slam. I always will love Poetry Slam. But Poetry Slam is definitely an element of our sister nonprofit anthology. So, would Brick Cave sponsor a Poetry Slam? We might sponsor a prize, but I don't think we would officially attach our name to an organizational event of a Poetry Slam. Not to say that I wouldn't under the guise of anthology. So I don't know, maybe. I'd actually put something together earlier this year and then didn't pull the trigger on it because I just didn't feel like it was ready. It was time. Plus, we got a lot going on. I really want this Patreon to be successful. I really want Brick Cave to be successful. And one of the things about being successful is you got to focus. So you got to be able to say no sometimes to say yes, I guess is the best way to put it. So I won't say never, but I will say not right now. So.
On the other hand, the poetry books are still very much a part.
Exactly. So you will see, you will definitely see a poetry tour in 2019. So one of the benefits of the Patreon, one of the things that we really want the Patreon to accomplish for us, is we want to take the people that we have as interns right now, and we really do want to bring them on as part-time employees. We want to give them something for their time. We want them to be rewarded for the work that they've done. All of the success that we have had this year has been a direct result of the hard work that basically our volunteers have given us. And that's, it's fantastic, but it's no way to run a business. And we need to be able to give them what they deserve. And we need your help to do it. I mean, there's just basically no other way around it. If we're going to make books, we got to have people buying the books. Otherwise, it makes it very hard for us to move forward. So,
I would even say if you're a little reluctant about this whole Patreon thing, go to the Brick Cave store and buy a book.
Yeah.
They're not that expensive.
They're not that big.
Read the book. I guarantee you'll come back and sign up for the Patreon page. Mm-hmm. You will enjoy the book to the point where you will, I believe, feel that this is something worth supporting.
So, oh, Jocelyn, I know, buddy, baby, I know. I'm sorry. I don't mean to quell hopes and dreams with that, but that's kind of the reality of it. The reality of it is that there are only so many hours in the day, and I want to be there for these guys, and I want these guys to be successful, because if they're successful, I'm successful, and then that empowers me to be able to do other stuff. And I really want to zero in on that right now, and really make that sort of my life's work, and really make that work for me, for the guys that we have doing the volunteer work over here. I shouldn't say guys because none of them are guys. They're all ladies. So the ladies that we have doing the volunteer work over here, I just want this to fly. I want this to fly, and I'm ready for it to fly. And as much as I love slam and I love doing performance poetry and organizing it, now's not the time for that. Now's the time for this, and we need to get this off the ground and get this going. So what I would say is, if you really do want that to happen, let's get in the Patreon here. Let's get this moving. Let's get us off the ground and to the point where we're being very successful. So, what other questions do we have here? I think that might be it for the questions so far. It says there are 29 comments, and I can't read them all. Oh, wait, Scott made a comment, but I can't see it. I don't know where all my comments went. So, all right, Bruce, you got to cover for me.
Got to cover for you here?
Got to cover for me.
What do you want to talk about, Bob? Okay. Now, we're going to get into some shameless self-promotion
There you go. Cover with shameless self-promotion.
These are my 2 profit books. Low Gems for Profit, Thieves Profit. Profit with an F, you'll notice. This is about making a profit, not about prophesizing. These are my science fiction. These are both very near and dear to my heart. I had a lot of fun writing them. I think people have a lot of fun reading them. I've received pretty much universally positive feedback on both of these books. As I said, think noir detective crossed with any science fiction you care to name. It's the typical small group of friends or colleagues against the world. Except here, they're all very flawed people, and nobody's who they say they are, and everyone is double-crossing someone. So it makes for a very interesting read. The point I want to make, though, is that I would not have the opportunity to put these books out the way that I have without Bob's support and without the support of Brick Cave. They've done very well in a very short period of time when we've sold them at cons and at various book events.
Don't mind me, I'm just
I would like to see them continue to do well, personally, because they're mine, but also to help support the work that Bob has put into them, because even though they came to him as, you know, fairly complete books, I've been very gratified with the level of support I've received from this publisher and from everybody who's been involved in these projects. And I think it's something that, going back to support people where you live, this is the kind of thing that I think people need to do if we're ever going to break the stranglehold that big media has on what we see and what we read and what we
it's true.
do, what passes for literature, what passes for taste. Frankly, I read an awful lot. I read a lot of very new stuff, and probably 50% of it is stuff that, if it came to me as an editor, I probably would not agree to publish. That's just me. I mean, maybe that reflects my taste, but I see an awful lot of stuff out there that is either not very well written or not very well edited, and yet it gets into print, and it always astounds me.
You know, the number of times that I will be reading a manuscript and see that the author is promoting, oh, I was published in so-and-so, or I was published by so-and-so, or, you know, this, that, and the other, and you wonder, okay, you know, to help me understand why you're here then. The industry is cutthroat. You know,
yes.
The industry is very much about making the dollar today. You know, it's very much about what they think is, what a certain group of individuals thinks is going to sell. And if you're not, no matter how well it's written, no matter how concise it is, no matter how wonderful it is, if it's just not on their radar of what they think is going to sell in that next season, unfortunately, you're just not going to make it. And, you know, that's not, to me, that's not the way to approach it. You know, I would rather publish a well-written manuscript that fits with us, you know, that fits with who we are as a press, because we do have a sort of a character as a press. But, you know, I think it's more important for me to fit that and make that happen than it is to, like, guess what's going to sell in the next month. You know?
Well, I think the tragedy over the last 20 years is that the mid-level author, the mid-list, has sort of disappeared.
Yeah, very much so.
You've got the, you know, oh, this is a wonderful first novel by, you know, whatever. Half of those people you never hear from again.
Yeah.
I would challenge you to go back and look at the New York Times book reviews or any, you know, Publishers Weekly, at these breakout novels by these new authors, and then see how many of them are still around.
Right.
In 2 or 3 years.
2 or 3 years, right.
You're only as good as your last blockbuster.
Yeah, you're only, and that's sad. I mean, it's sort of a microcosm of the bigger picture happening around us, I think. But it doesn't let good writers build audiences, because they never get the chance to actually get their stories in front of people, and that's what we want to fight. That's what we want to do. You know, we're not with Bruce for one book. We're not with Sharon for one book. We're not with Joe for one book. We're not with Scott for one book. You know, we're with them for their writing career. For as long as they want to be with us, you know, we're with them. And sometimes that may mean, hey, we're going to give you some harsh feedback on a manuscript because it isn't where we think it needs to be, or it's not where we think it would be in relation to what everybody else is doing. But it also means that you're going to get that growth. We want to see our authors grow. And hopefully we're all, you know, that's that whole rising water lifts all boats. So
I'm not sure that's the best analogy these days.
All right, fair enough.
I would go more with the kind of things that a family does, and Bob had mentioned that earlier. This is
There
really
it is.
very much a family
Oh, they went away.
kind of feel. I really love going to book events with these guys because we have a lot of fun.
Well, it's not worth doing if it's not fun, right?
Well, there is that.
You know, it really. I mean, that's what it really comes down to. Is it?
But like I said, getting back to and you made a comment earlier, and I'm trying to remember exactly how you said it, but it was more about being in it for the long haul.
Yeah.
And wanting to develop talent and authors as a resource rather than just as a money-making vehicle.
Well, and you know, I think that it's so easy to think about, but kind of hard to articulate. In that, we just want everybody to grow and get along, and we want everybody to work together, and we want everybody to succeed. You know, and that includes us. I mean, I'm not altruistic in the fact,
No,
you know, I would like this to be a money-making endeavor for me. I'm not going to lie. But at the same time, I would very much like to do it and enjoy the success of the people around me at the same time. So, you know, I really think that this is an effort for all of us to come together and work in the same direction. So, again, we are here launching our Brickcade Patreon. We just launched it probably 45 minutes ago. I think we had 2, so I don't know if that's changed in the last few minutes, but we had 2, so we're still at 2. Come on now.
You can sign up.
It's okay.
Doesn't cost
You're not
much.
going to hurt anything. Bottom level is $1 a month, so that's all. You know, that's all we need to start with, and you can grow it. So you can start at $1 a month to see what it's like, and then grow it over time. So we are. We should probably wrap this up. I think 50 minutes is more than enough.
Well, we
time
don't want
for
to
us
bore
hang
everybody.
out.
That's,
So please don't hesitate to continue to ask questions. Please don't hesitate to continue to post comments here in the live event feed. We'd love to answer them. I will probably be online for the next couple hours, just kind of making sure that things are moving okay, making sure that people don't have problems accessing the Patreon, doing some updates on the website so people can get to the Patreon and that kind of stuff. So with that, I'm going to make sure there aren't any other floating questions. Exactly. Only the cost of a book a year. Thank you, Jocelyn. You're fantastic. So join us. You can go to brickcademedia.com. You can learn more about us. You can see all of the books. You can see Bruce's books. You can see Bruce's bio. You can visit Bruce's website. You can visit Bruce on Amazon. You can visit Bruce anywhere. And you can get his books anywhere. And if you get a book, just get a book.
I love to talk to people. So you want to shoot me a message on Facebook or whatever. I'm pretty happy to respond as long as it's not too out there. I'm not shy about answering questions. You may not like the answers you get, but okay, we can have a conversation.
All right, thank you all so much for joining us. I've noticed we've been bouncing up and down in viewership. Actually, I'm really pleased with the number of people that kind of checked in on us tonight. Thank you all for doing that. Please pop over Patreon, patreon.com/brickcademedia. And look at the levels, find the one that fits for you, and let's get you going. We'd like to get to, I think we said 15 by the end of the night tonight, so we got till midnight, so go get them. Thanks, Bruce.
Thanks, Bob.
I'm going to get up now and turn off the camera.
Okay.
Ooh. And, there's all the comments. Look, they're all popping up on the phone. All right, hang on, let me turn this off.
Maybe I should
Oh, hang on. I think I just liked my own comment there.
have popped up on the phone here.
Yeah. Yeah, hang on. It's actually still on, so don't say anything naughty.